Welcome to All Things Well, where we make wellness practical for every day. I'm Tamara Jackson, your host. Here we explore wellness in all forms: emotional, physical, spiritual, financial, creative, and relational, through conversations that inform, inspire, and encourage. Because being well isn't one thing, it's all the things. Today's conversation is about something we all long for, whether we realize it or not: a place to belong. When we think of wellness, we often think about our physical or mental health, but our sense of identity, the communities that shape us, the stories we're told, and the people who raise us all contribute to our well-being in profound ways. Today's guest is someone whose life and career have been deeply influenced by those very things. Although many know him as a respected radio personality, I discovered that there is so much more to his story. We recently spent a couple of hours simply talking, and I walked away fascinated, not just by his work, but by the grandparents who helped raise him, the community that shaped him, and his passion for preserving stories that matter. Today, we're talking about identity, community, legacy, and what it really means to find your way home with Julian Seward, a man whose life reminds us all that wellness is rooted in the people, places, and stories that shape us. Welcome to All Things Well. Good morning, Julian.
Good morning. How are you?
I am well. Welcome, welcome. How are you, sir?
I am excellent.
Awesome. A year older.
I am a year older.
Again, happy birthday. Yes, yes, yes.
I appreciate it.
Many blessings to you. So let's jump right in. When you hear the word home, what comes to mind?
I would say family for sure. You know, that whole cliche, home is where the heart is. Home is the people that you bring with you. Home is the people that you cherish a place of peace and safety with. Home can be a place where you are alone. For me personally, I've been afforded the opportunity to have my immediate family still around me, and then friends who I call family. So as long as I have that sense of community, I feel like I'm at home. It's protection, it's peace, it's solitude and solace.
I love that. So you talk about your family, bio family, and you talk about the friends also, right? That you call family. Can you tell us a little bit more about the community that raised you and what made it so special?
For sure, for sure. And as you spoke to before, we had a very nice conversation where we were just kind of, just talking about our backgrounds, where we grew up. And I told you that, I'm currently in the Trenton area and I've been here for the past 20 years or so. But originally born and bred in Toms River. And your reaction, just like everyone else's reaction, like, really? Toms River? You with the locks, Toms River. And yeah, I was born at Community Hospital in Toms River, and I had a very unique opportunity to be raised in an all Black community, an all Black neighborhood in a predominantly, is an understatement, white area. It created for a very cool experience in rearing me and developing me moving forward. So the neighborhood is called Manitou Park. I began in the early 1900s. It was started by three Black families, my family included, who purchased land from a judge. And that plot of land started off as one street. And then that one street kind of, turned into another and another. And then it went from just being homes to schools and to restaurants and to hotels and to an all Black fire department that my grandfather was a part of beginning. So many different things began in that community based out of necessity, not having the opportunity or not having the safety in certain aspects of relying on the greater community around them and just showing what we do when we work with the things that we have.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. but it just grew into this place that felt like paradise. It was also kind of in the middle of the
Mm,
woods. If you know Tom's River is a beach town known for seaside, but it's also the county seat of Ocean County. So it has this kind of, small middle America town kind of feel, Main Street and parades and the whole nine,
mm,
but it's also in the middle of the Pine Barrens. So, we're surrounded by woods. And because of the fact that that community was pretty much my family. And as I was saying before about friends, no one's a stranger there. You don't stumble upon that place. If you know where it
mm.
is. So the whole community just felt safe. And that's another aspect too. I had this ability to just feel safe where I was, never feeling in danger unless it was a stray dog or if it was someone that we didn't recognize. Who's that person? But never really
Mhm.
any kind of, fear. So I would just explore. I was a precocious kid who spent my days in the woods and riding my bike. And as I mentioned, we'll skip ahead to that a little bit later, but my grandmother was a librarian. So we were at the library and I was reading books and, the whole nine. I really had a adventurous, outdoorsy little boy kind of, childhood from the beginning up until around, middle school.
That is amazing. Absolutely amazing. And again, even though this is the second time I'm hearing some of that, I still have this Cheshire like cat smile on my face because you're right. That is a upbringing that very few of us are afforded. You already spoke about like speaking of feeling safe, right? And I heard you said your grandfather was a part of the fire department that became, that was established, and your grandmother was a librarian who like really fostered the reading and the learning. So you speak so fondly of your grandparents. What did they teach you without you ever realizing what they were teaching you?
That's an excellent question. I would say pride. I would say pride. And I say pride not in, the egotistical sense, but just being confident in your character, how you present yourself to the world. There was no sense of diminishing your light for anyone, you know. The way that they came up was very grassroots in that, let's say for instance, my grandfather, he was an entrepreneur. He owned a dry cleaners. He moved from Dothan, Alabama, from a very prominent farming family who owned acres and acres and acres. Just didn't want to live in the South. It was not working for him, especially during that time. So he joined his brother, up north in New Jersey and earned his boiler license and became an owner of a dry cleaners. And again, in this all white town, my grandmother, like I said, she was a teacher first and became a librarian, but she was also a massive part. Both of them were a massive part of the community, which trickled down to how my mother raised us as well. Just that we belong. There is a place for us being
Mhm.
here. The pride in our blackness, the pride in education, and then just walking tall. I heard Bill Duke, the actor
Yes,
and
yes.
director,
Mhm.
right?
Uh-huh.
He was very wise man, seemingly,
Absolutely.
in the interviews that I watched for sure. And he
Hmm.
said something that his mother taught him when he was younger that stuck with me. He said, she told him, "You're not better than anyone, and no one is better than you."
Hmm.
And I feel like that kind of was how I was raised there,
Hmm.
with all the respect and the manners and the understanding of your place in this world and your community. And no one is better than you. You do not have any sense of being better than or being, egotistical or feeling as if, you should be on a high horse by any means, but also understanding that despite what you might see as you leave this neighborhood, for instance, or when you go to school or what have you understand who you really are because this is reality right here. Despite what they
Yeah.
teach you or how they look at you or what have you, this is also reality. So I think that just by example, they showed me those
Mhm.
things. There was definitely intention in teaching it, but I learned from example. I saw my grandfather, who was this strong Black man well into his 70s, who just had character and exuded, confidence and earned respect. His nickname was Champ Gamble.
Oh, I love that. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. And that was given to him by his friends and family and the community, because of the respect that he garnered. So those things I would say that they showed and taught me just by the lives that they led.
When you shared your grandfather's nickname, it again, all of this is making me smile, but it made me think about the power of names, right?
Mm,
And what we answer to, because my husband and I, and more him than me, his nickname for our son is Champ, right? And again, instilling in him that you got this, you are enough, you are worthy, so it's those simple ways in which we pour in. Yes, obviously, there are bigger, greater manifestations of what we instill or what is instilled in us,
yeah.
but it is those small things as well. So I love that.
I love that too.
Yeah, I love that. I was
For
again,
sure, starting them young. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Speaking over your kids,
Mhm.
speaking over your kids, just as we are called to speak over ourselves. But yeah, what we answer to matters, right? So, in that same vein, because you spoke about George Duke and what his mom imparted in him, is there something that they said, and it doesn't even have to be your grandparents, but is there something that you hold on, not just by the way the community lived, that still guides you today? Something that was said to you that still guides you today?
I can't think of anything in particular as far as, a statement or a phrase or what have you, but what did come to mind, and it's something that we spoke about as well, faith.
Mm-hmm.
I would tell you what was always spoken around me was or were words of faith,
Mm-hmm.
and specifically my faith of Christianity. That's also, again, a benefit of where I grew up and the time that I grew up was that there was no fear of saying, this is what I believe, you know?
Yes,
It
yes,
was very important in my household to be intentional
yes.
with, like you said, the things that we spoke over ourselves. Not swearing was something that was really a big thing because, we
Mm-hmm.
believe that there is power in the word and in the tongue. So I can't think of one thing that was said in particular, but I do know that from being brought up with scripture constantly being read and just a sense of you know why you believe what you believe because you know where you're going if you believe that. And you also see how that works here
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
in reality and on earth as well. So I would say that the faith that I was given or the faith, yeah, the faith that was spoken over me and around me as a young person is what I still hold on to today.
Mm-hmm.
Because I still see how it works and how God works in my life and what happens when I stray and what happens when I do speak poorly over myself. I fall
Mm-hmm.
between that too, or when I do doubt or when I insecurities do rise, what that brings. So I hold on to that because I know what the other side is like. I know what the times where I stop doubting and I start believing are, I allow myself to just hold firm and hold steady in God and Lord that it leads me to where I need to be.
That anchoring is so important. That anchoring, right?
Yeah.
And for us, both it's steeped in Christianity. For someone else, it may be steeped in something.
Hmm.
But I am reminded in listening to you of a former interview. It wasn't even the interview that I did for the podcast, but when I was doing my film, The Invitation, and one of the participants, Yatunde Aromi, she said, you know, believe in something, right? Because if you don't believe in something, all you're left to believe is what is told to you. And in that regard, she was speaking. Obviously, we were talking about autoimmune disease and particularly your treatment team. Sometimes, in this case, doctors, they say something very specific to you, right? And they think that's absolute. But no, it was her faith that anchored her. It was her family that comforted her and surrounded and, prayed over her and things of that nature. So that anchoring is very important because you're right. Life gonna life. you know,
Sure,
life is not gonna
sure,
ask our
sure.
permission. And so we can't become unsteady because life is doing what life is designed to do. And if we're anchored to something, obviously a higher power would be great, but something, even though things are happening the way they are and manifesting the way they are, we don't get rocked. And I think that's something different. The world collapsing around us and us collapsing are two different things. And that's not like false positivity because we're entitled to feel, but we cannot collapse for everything that comes to us.
So well said, and I agree with you completely because it's coming from someone who understands, like you said, life is going to do what life is designed to do. We've been told ahead of time what these times are going to be like. And that's where, what's the song? My hope is built on nothing less than
Oh,
Jesus'
yes, yes,
love
yes.
and righteousness,
Yes, yes.
because the storms will be there, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And what I got from what you were saying as well is that the faith will give you that sense of discernment.
Exactly.
You don't want to be deceived. You like to think that someone in a position of authority, like a doctor, would give you some good news, or would speak
Mm-hmm.
to you in a way that would have your best interests at heart. But we also understand that people are valuable and that they were taught what they were taught. They have their own prejudices and they have their own opinions, or they're just, it's not the end all be all as far as putting our trust in that. But again, like you said, if you put your trust in something that is greater than you, something that has not failed, then you will understand that discernment is coming from something, yes,
Mm-hmm.
within you, but also outside of you and
Absolutely.
bigger than the world itself. And that will give you that sense of calm, or at least that sense of being able to keep going when times are shaky.
Absolutely.
I did think of something. I did think of a specific thing. I'm sorry. I
No,
want to finish
no, no, sorry. We having a conversation.
that.
Let's cook. Go ahead.
It didn't matter when or where, if I was going down to the corner store or if I was going on a trip every morning before I went to school, it did not matter. My mother, without fail, would say, be good and be careful. If
Mm.
I hang up the phone to this day, be good and be careful.
Mm-hmm.
That has stuck with me
Mm.
for sure, to the point that for a little bit of time, and we'll talk about this later on my show, I wanted that to be my send off,
Mm-hmm.
to the audience. I love you. Be good. Be careful. And I think I still will do. I've done it before because it's so simple, but it's so much. You know,
Yes.
it's
Yes.
that thing. Because again, whether I was this little kid playing in the woods or wanted to, go down the railroad tracks I was supposed to, or go off this jump or go a little bit further into town that I was supposed to, or as I got older and you know how that goes,
Mm-hmm.
rooting the whole nine, it was always in the back of my mind. Did I always listen? Of course not. But it was always there and it guided me in a way. Because when you're young too, your parents feel omnipotent in a way. You know what I mean? They feel like this presence that is somewhat all knowing. And even if you don't listen again, just like, with anything else, you know that they love you, you know that they care for you, you know they have your best interest at heart, and you know that it's almost like they know you better than you know yourself.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so that sense of guilt that you have if you don't do it, and again, you'll stray. It is what it is. It happens.
That's part of the process
It's
too.
part of the process. That's part of the lesson. And that's the reason why, thank God, I've
Absolutely.
come home safe every day and every night. But that, for sure, that is a phrase that I don't think I've ever been without, you know? From as
Mm.
long as I can remember, that has been something that's been spoken to me almost every day. And I appreciate that.
I love the simplicity of it.
Mhm.
And again, that anchoring, because it's easy to remember, it's easy to come back to, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we need. Like, it's almost kind of the reframe, right? The reframe
Yeah.
that we live by. So yeah.
I like that.
Thank you, Mama.
No
All
problem.
right.
For sure. Thank you, Mom.
Right, right, right. What does belonging feel like to you?
What does belonging feel like to me? I think belonging has changed over time. I think it really depends on the spaces that you want to belong to. I know we were speaking about the friends that we call family. And I think that's a space where you found yourself in that space as opposed to blood, where, you were reared and, came
Mhm.
into existence amongst blood family. In those spaces, belonging feels like being like-minded in what it feels like to me today, and forgive me for the tangents, what it feels like for me today is being like-minded in honesty.
Mm,
I say that because we were talking about different belief systems. When I think about my friends, we all don't necessarily believe in the same thing.
mhm,
So I was going to say like-minded in truth, but our truths are different, you know.
mhm,
Certain aspects of what we believe to be true are relative,
mhm.
but I'm around honest people,
Yes.
who I believe are really true to themselves.
Yes.
They have laid themselves bare, without any kind of pretense because of that shared amount of trust.
Yes.
We've been through it. My friends that I've had for 20 plus years, some for 30 plus years, we have been tested. We have
Mm,
been through it all. And that's what my birthday showed me, the people who reached out. And it's not to
mm,
say for anyone who didn't necessarily reach out, again, life is life and it's fine. But
mhm,
it's just those few texts or calls or notifications of people that have come into my life recently that I,
mhm.
have recently become friends with. That's just saying, I see where we see eye to eye. I see where we're 2020.
Yes. Yes.
So I am comfortable with wanting to belong here. I feel like we all need a place to belong. We can't do it on our own, but
Mhm,
sometimes we get in the way. I don't want to feel needy, you know, at times. I'm
mhm,
guilty of that. But I think we need it for me to feel like I can belong somewhere. I need to feel safe and I need to feel understood and I need to feel wanted, that my presence is wanted for real reasons.
Makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're so correct as far as communities change, right? So obviously, it's the communities that we're raised in
Hmm.
that give us kind of that initial sense of belonging. Then you're right, we branch out in our own maturation process, whether it's through school, through work experiences, and other life experiences. So, yes, the faces and names sometimes change, not dramatically. Like you said, you've had friendships for 20, 30 plus years, as
Yeah.
have I. And you're right. Again, going back to that anchoring, we are anchored, or one of our anchors, main anchors is faith, right?
Hmm.
But you're correct. Just like yourself, I have friends that are also, their belief system is different. And it's okay, right? Because their heart system isn't, right? That's what we're anchored. That's what makes us anchored, the heart, right? For us to be out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks, right? But more than their mouth speaking, their actions have spoken. And that has cleaved us as friends, as sisters, our brothers,
Hmm.
and things of that nature. So I totally understand and appreciate that. The power of friendship. We call each other like soul sisters or soul brothers, right? Because that soul connection. I want to now turn to who you are as far as radio personality. Get into that a little bit. So, you seem deeply committed to preserving stories. Where did that come from?
I've been asking myself that question currently. I think I have a story to tell personally. I think it comes from a few places, to be honest. Going back to, again, childhood and family life, I remember specifically, I went to a predominantly white elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
And my grandmother, again, retired, long been retired, days open, but fearless and just love to teach and educate. There was a book series, Anansi the Spider.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So she would read that to me, coming up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's just like so many other books,
Mm-hmm.
Tar Beach and all these different books that really
Mm-hmm.
seem like it fit the script of young black kids, in the 80s and 90s and so on. And the Nazi spider is this fable from Africa about this kind of mischievous spider who gets into different, situations, things of that nature. And it always had this moral lesson that went along with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, for whatever reason, I asked her if she could read that to my class. I think this was like first or second grade or so. And she said, yes, I will. And she came up to that school and she read Anansi the Spider to all these white little kids. And I remember to this day, yeah, I don't think she mind. There's a girl named Ashley DeRose.
Mm-hmm.
You know who you are. She was going to say, I remember when your grandmother came to school and read Anansi the Spider for us and how that made my life or that made my day. And she came back a few times after that too and did that. But it was just this idea that this story, which you would think on surface would have no ability to relate to anyone in that room,
Mm-hmm.
provided something based off of who was telling it, how they were telling it, and what the underlying story was. So through seeing that, and through again, like you said, or like we were talking about before, just the interesting ways that I viewed life coming up and the experiences that I've had, I think just the way that my mind worked coming up, and getting older, I was always, a creative in some kind of aspect. I needed a release, I needed
Yeah.
some way to get this out. I always was dabbling in some kind of area of creativity, whether I stayed with it or not. Hey, that happened. But I was always either in the chorus or in the choir or writing poetry at a young age or writing for the school newspaper or yes, I'll do this play or yes, I'll be in this club. So I think over the years, I just built up these little tools and I just said, I have to get this out in some kind of capacity.
Yes.
And I don't necessarily know what this vessel will be,
Mm-hmm.
but I believe that I have some kind of story to tell. I've tested it out enough that I think people are receptive to it. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's another beautiful thing about radio too, is that when you're in that room, unless you have guests there, there's really no instant gratification of someone immediately letting you know how they feel or what you're getting back. So you're really just speaking out into the ether,
Mm-hmm.
with the
Mm-hmm.
confidence that what I'm saying is going to be enjoyed. And all that just kind of came together with radio. Like I told you before, I was supposed to be a high school history teacher and I needed another elective. And so I was like, you have a nice voice. And I said, thank you. I appreciate it. You like music. I love music. I think you might want to try radio. And I took that elective and I met the dean of the communications department at that time, who was also my teacher, Mr. Mitchell Cantor. And I fell in love with it. And I changed my major that semester and I did not look back. I became the program director of my college radio station. And that gave me the leeway to not only have this access to a show to where I could just try things out. We understood there was importance there, but also because it's college radio, you get to just let's see where this goes. Let's go a little bit beyond the limit here. But then with that responsibility, I also got a chance to bring other kids in and other people in from all different backgrounds, from all different levels of trepidation and intimidation, and just seeing them come in shy and reserved and leaving with saying, I also have something to say,
Mm-hmm.
you're giving me the opportunity to speak what I want to into this mic. And as long as we hold, the standard respect and again, that honesty, then have at it. So I think it started there. There's another thing too. Tony Brown from WDAS.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that was the soundtrack to my childhood. I've
Mm-hmm.
been 40 since I was like 4. So I was
I love
I was an old soul kid
that.
for sure. Anita Baker and Sade are still my two favorite singers to this day, and they were back then too.
Facts. Facts.
You understand, right? You feel me?
Yes. One of my favorite, actually, my favorite concert, I got to see Sade live.
Was it 2011?
Yes.
Was it Atlantic City?
No, it was the Meadowlands. Oh, that place in the
Oh,
Syracuse. I'm not Syracuse. Oh, Lord. Secaucus. I was in
yeah.
Secaucus. Mm-hmm.
So we both had that experience. I saw her in AC with the whole family. She came rising out on a pillar, and I was like, hey, this is everything I needed.
And John Legend opened for her. In my show, John Legend opened for her.
I like that. That's a nice fitting. That makes sense. That's a good pairing.
I'm saying core memory unlocked. Okay.
I'm happy for you and I'm happy for us because I don't know if that's ever going to happen again, to be honest with you, the way she's moving.
I agree. All right.
Yeah.
So you was telling
Sorry about that.
Tony Brown. No.
Tony Brown, may he rest in peace. I've
Hmm.
done a few tributes to him on my show. He is still held as a legendary DJ in the Philadelphia area on
Hmm.
WDAS specifically. I think he has the most prominence. And then later on in his career, he took the reins of the Quiet Storm. I know there's quiet storms all over the US at this point in time. I believe it started in Howard University back in the day. But wherever your quiet storm is, you feel like that is the quiet storm, you know?
Facts. Yes, yes.
And it's a nighttime block of about 4 or 5 hours of just smooth jazz, R&B, classics, all the heavy hitters. It's that brown liquor music. It's all the above, you
He
know?
said brown liquor music.
It's whatever you want it to be, whatever environment that
Hmm.
you're in. But for me, as a young kid, being in the back seat while my
Hmm.
mom is running errands down Route 37, going to Caldor and Bradley's and whatever we were doing. And the sun is setting, and I'm listening to Tony Brown come in with his intro and the smoothness and the how he commanded your attention. Whatever stresses you had, if you were crying because you want to go home and watch Snick or Nickelodeon, what have you, and if you're acting up, it just gave you this sense of peace. He infiltrated whatever space that was. The 90s was when I was coming up, the 90s was such a unique era to where everyone could listen to the same thing in a way on the radio.
Agreed. Agreed. Hmm.
And that was special in itself, too, because I was listening to what my mother was listening to. We both knew all the words. My sister did, my brother did. My friends knew everything. We held Janet Jackson in the same kind of regard as, my mother did or what have you. So that's also a sense too, in that I wanted to have a show to where the entire family could enjoy it. Not saying that I'm making it specifically for children or making it specific for adults, but something that is not necessarily middle of the road, but something that is purposeful enough and has a direct enough message and is not intentionally trying to reach any kind of, I'm not a shock jock in any kind of way, you know. I want something to where parents can turn it on for their kids and be proud that they are listening to it. I want to be something that kids can hold on to for the rest of their lives and have their sensibilities shaped by something that has substance. I want it to be a time capsule of today. I think that's another part about it is that, what does today feel like for me in, this year and
Hmm.
who I am right now. And if you can listen back, the same way that I listen to things from, the 90s in some kind of nostalgic regard. I
Yes.
want to make an imprint on what this year is like and what life is like for me right now, which is why it's called my bittersweet philosophy. I feel like I took you around the world and back. I hope I answered your question.
No, absolutely. Again, we're just
Yeah,
vibing, much like
but
if when you put on that vinyl, it's just vibing.
it's just vibing. Yeah,
It's just vibing. We're just vibing. So, nah, this is good. This is wellness. This is wholeness. This is organic and
for
authentic,
sure.
right? How has your understanding of your voice changed over the years?
Excellent question. I took it for granted. I definitely took it for granted. I got this voice in eighth grade. And that was the year after I moved from Tom's River to Ewing, right outside of Trenton, right?
Yes.
So puberty is already chaos for every child involved, you know?
Facts, facts, facts.
There's no getting around it, there's no understanding it. The understanding is in hindsight, you know?
Hmm.
I remember just again coming from that area to this area too, and talk about belonging. I'm like, oh, this is where we've been. This is where we've been in mass. Again, I love the fact that I had my neighborhood where I always felt like we were present and to come home to people who look just like you. So there was always pride there. But Trenton may seem like a small city now, because again, we're right next to New York and Philadelphia, what have you.
Hmm.
But coming from Tom's River, I mean, this is like I'm in Harlem. Like this is we here, we here, and it was beautiful. And I'm seeing,
Yes.
young chocolate girls,
Hmm.
and I'm in heaven. So my voice changes, and I'm already feeling odd because I'm trying to fit in. That first couple months where you're trying to figure out your lane, and you're not trying to get bullied, but you're also not trying to be the bully, but you got to figure out, sink or swim. So I'm going through
Hmm.
all that, and then at the same time, I'm coming home with this. Luckily, I got this voice here to where it was appreciated. It was appreciated for sure, because I think if it was a different space, then there'd be embarrassment. But there was
Mm.
still this awkwardness. To this day, as you know, I still probably speak softer and quieter than is required just because
Mm.
of not understanding how to regulate until getting older.
Got you.
One of my
Okay.
biggest regrets is not
Mm.
continuing to not joining the choir or the chorus when I came up here. I
Hmm.
think there's something about being on stage and singing and understanding, the dynamics of your voice and sound and
Yes.
the whole nine that helps you, yeah, just understand as a whole. And I quit it immediately just because I was scared. I was like, I don't know who these people are. I don't know what to do. And I had a place there. I don't know who I am now. So, and also this dynamic of not necessarily wanting to be seen. And that plays into you feel like you're figuring this out on your own. In a large way, it is. There's only so
Yeah.
much that
Yeah.
your parents can, try to protect you from. And also, you should not be
Hmm.
too protected. So, there's so much I'm figuring out. I just wanted to, like you mentioned, I just wanted to belong. So
Yeah.
I think for a long time, I did diminish the certain aspects of my voice, literally.
Mm.
And I think that led me to, in certain ways, until, a few years went by, diminish certain aspects of my voice figuratively,
Hmm.
what my true sense of self was.
Yeah.
And then in high school, I came into my own. I think I really did come into
Hmm.
my own.
Hmm.
I started to figure it out. That's also where I got a little bit more creative. By the end of high school, I was rapping and I was planning on going. I was got accepted into Morgan State in Baltimore, so I'm about to go to an HBCU. I was heading to a good place to where I'm like, I know who I am. I understand, but I want at least at this young age. Looking back, it's totally different story, but I was content, you know. And
Hmm.
with being content, I had a gauge on the register. I was able to
Hmm.
go deeper when I needed to. I was able to go higher if I had to. So I would say, in short, I think depending on where I am in life, I still find to this day that it affects my voice.
Mm.
But what I do realize is that no matter where I am in life, I'm still intentionally aware of that. And it's become much easier, over time. We know how it is with certain jobs where it comes, you got to code switch a little bit, voice wise. And I shouldn't say you have to. Unfortunately, I think that's something that I've fallen victim to. I was in sales, for a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to look deeper as probably where this comes from. It came from
Yeah.
survival. It really did come from survival
Yeah. Yeah.
when it comes to things like code switching and all. But again, I found myself doing it. But now that I'm older, now I have some wherewithal, I would put my shoulders down a little bit, you know, take my
Hmm.
tongue from the roof of my mouth, breathe, and say, who am I
Mm.
putting on airs for?
Hmm.
And then once I was aware of that and then brought myself back to what my regular voice was,
Hmm.
that's where the compliments come in. That's where the comfort comes in. Because now I'm able to deliver authenticity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now I'm able to deliver and receive and give you back real empathy. And that's where it really
Mm.
lies when it comes to a position like that. And so it's the same in life. I am going to get in spaces where I'm in unknown territory and I can feel myself tightening up and I can see my voice getting a little bit higher. But breathe, bring those shoulders down, stick that chest out, and
Yes.
then get yourself back to center, get yourself grounded again. And
Yes.
now you are where you are because now you are who you really are, that authentic sense of self.
Exactly.
So it's just easier to regulate at this point in time.
Thank you for your transparency with that. So many things came to mind as I listened to you. So, for the little boy that grew up in this very wholesome, yet isolated in some ways area, this neighborhood, right? What would you tell that little boy today that is making that journey that you just described to Ewing, New Jersey, where Blackness is not just the neighborhood, it's
Mm.
more pronounced. It's more pronounced, right? And it's like, ooh, like you, I heard you say almost like we arrived in a sense, right?
Yeah,
However, though, I think there is security in the installation of a neighborhood, of a community that knows your name.
sure.
And so, what would you say to that little boy now that's making that transition? And the reason why I'm asking you that, because there are a host, it may not be from that neighborhood to, more of a metropolitan area, right? But I think it's important. You said something important that I think would benefit all Black little boys that's making a transition maybe from elementary school to middle school. Heck, my son is one, are making that transition from middle school to high school. That I think the voice, right, from Black males
Hmm.
is important in instilling in the youth of what that transition can look like, the authenticity of, hey, puberty is strange, man. You know what I mean? So, what would you
Sure.
say to that little boy now?
I love how you put everything that you just said. That was extremely poignant. I would say you are enough.
Mm,
I would say you are enough exactly as you are.
yes, yes.
You know, you were made perfectly and uniquely,
Mm-hmm,
and there are no mistakes in your creation.
mm-hmm,
You were created in the image of God, but you are enough. And I need you to know you are enough because you are going to get older. And every step along the way, the world's going to tell you that's not true.
mm,
And people who look like you are going to tell you that's not true. And people who don't look like you are going to tell you that's not true.
mm-hmm.
But what the beautiful thing is that if you believe that you are enough, they'll start to believe it too, whether they tell you or not. And I learned that through, because again, once you realize as you get older and you do have those friends who necessarily did not have a father figure or did not have the best childhoods or home life or, things just got in the way, just made the wrong choice that led to every other choice beyond that being wrong. You kind of start to get to a place where you just raise yourselves,
Yes, yes.
which is why I hold my friends so dear now because we kind of raise ourselves in a lot of ways.
Mm,
And that's where that transparency comes into play and that honesty comes into play because you will be so surprised how much the people around you, I wouldn't say necessarily just look up to you, but gain something from you when you're just authentic.
mm-hmm,
Going back to the puberty thing, authenticity is what will help get you through. The right little girls will like you for who you are
mm-hmm,
if you show up as who you are. And
mm-hmm,
that is so easier said than done. But that's what I wish I would have received when I was that age, when I was a very little kid. And I did get it, but you don't always believe it, of course. You
mm-hmm.
still feel like, and again, I love what you said about there's something very important about being in a space where everyone knows your name,
Yes.
because you do have that sense of I belong and I am important, I am somebody,
Mm-hmm,
but you have to leave at some point in time.
mm-hmm,
You have to step out, you have to leave the community or you have to go to school or whatever the case might be, you have to leave that nest, that safe haven.
mm-hmm.
And hopefully you could bring that with you, but you will be tested, like we say, and that's where you can lose sense of self or just fall prey. But
Mhm.
it's goes back to, the thing I said, my mother said, and I love how you said it was just very simple and that's all you need. Those are the mantras that you should be holding on to. I am enough, just as I am.
Mhm.
I am perfectly made, and I know that not everyone will see that, and not everyone will care,
And they don't have to.
and they don't have to.
And they don't have to.
They do not have to at all. I
Mm-mm.
love how you said that. I'm so interested too in because I plan on having kids one day myself.
Mhm.
And I just hear how you speak so matter of fact in the way that you are intentional with how you're raising your children or your son. I heard your previous podcast and just conversations about how you show up and how your husband shows up in the whole nine. And there's something about being, and you correct me if I'm wrong, in the rearing of it all, I understand that there's imperfections in that too. Perfectly imperfect when it comes to the whole nine,
Oh, absolutely.
the intentional things like the nickname of champ, you know,
Hmm. Hmm.
for your son and the things that you've gone through and just being honest along that journey
Hmm.
with him. I think the honesty of it all is important at a young age. You can't
Hmm.
divulge too much because there's only so much a young mind can handle. But
Hmm.
I appreciate the honesty. I still think back to the honesty that was given to me, by my mother and my grandmother and my grandfather
Hmm.
from what I was able to handle at that time.
Yes, yes. Age appropriate. It must be age appropriate.
Age appropriate for sure.
Let's emphasize that. Age appropriate.
And I just wonder, and overall, I commend you for it. So I'm like, coming from a space where I'm not a parent yet, I know there's going to be mistakes that are going to be made, but the intention of it all and leading first with love and identity, pride in your
Hmm.
identity and things of that nature, it seems like that's what made it work for me.
Hmm.
And I
Hmm.
see it's what's making it work for you. And I'm very interested. We'll have conversations, of
Yeah,
course,
absolutely.
about tips and tricks. I appreciate it ahead of time. But yeah,
Hmm.
I think about that too. And I think when you ask me that question about what I would say to my younger self, I'm almost coming from a big brother standpoint, a fatherly
Hmm.
standpoint, and a peer standpoint. And in
Hmm.
all those ways, it's the same thing. You are enough, young black man or young black girl. You are absolutely enough as you are right now.
Hmm.
And I love how you added, it doesn't matter if they don't understand you. You know,
Hmm.
there's almost a concerted effort for people not to understand you and for your light to be dimmed and for your history to be
Exactly.
misconstrued. So there's
Hmm.
a lot up against you where you are right now. If you're in this country and if you're in the world as a whole, but if you're in this country, there's a lot up against you, intentionally so. But that's what happens when people are afraid. They try to squander the things they don't understand, or the things that they might understand a little too well. If they understand what can happen if you understand yourself a little bit better.
Hello, that part.
So
So, in essence, and this kind of tags on to the last question, but I think in a very restricted way. What does coming home to yourself mean? Because you talked about going through all of these changes, and we all go through changes, right?
yeah,
But there's a point where we become, I would hope, settled, grounded, right?
yeah,
So, what does coming home to yourself mean?
such a beautiful question. I think I'm understanding that more and more this year. To be honest with you,
Mhm.
I trust myself. You know,
Mhm.
I really trust myself. I took the time to learn who I am and to hold on to my word to myself. You know,
Mhm.
that I
Mhm.
could say I trust myself. And with trusting myself, I think I've always loved myself. I could say that for sure. I've always loved myself, but I
Mhm.
wasn't always good to myself, you know?
Mm. I felt that. I felt that. Yeah. Yeah. Been there.
We're
Uh-huh.
not always good to the people that we love, including ourselves, despite how much we love them.
Mhm.
And I love myself so much more now, and I trust myself more now, and I feel responsible for myself, the temple that I am and the person that I am. Exactly how you put it, I do feel more settled in that resolve, you know,
Where do you find peace?
nature,
Mm.
nature. I told you I did my morning walk today.
Yes. Yes.
I'm going to be in a kayak on Monday. I love nature. It settles all nerves. I really
Yes.
do feel at peace. I feel connected. I feel closer to self. That's where the creativity comes into play. I think I get the most connection to inside and outside when I am literally outside. When I'm in
Mhm.
when I'm in nature. So yeah, that brings me peace for sure.
Mm. What does a well lived life look like?
I believe a well-lived life is determined by how comfortable. This might sound morbid. I think a well-lived life is determined personally by how comfortable you are with the time that it might end.
Mm,
I think that even no matter what stage in life you are, if you're saying that if it were to end today or tomorrow, am I at peace?
mhm,
Am I surrounded by loved ones?
mhm,
There's so much more to accomplish, but am I okay with the things that I did accomplish? Am I okay with where I am today if everything moving
mhm,
forward? Or do I believe my soul is going to go? All those things. I feel like that is a life well lived. I used to think that it was the things that people would say once you are gone. You know,
mhm,
I saw something with my grandfather passed. His funeral was packed. His wake was packed, and the amount of people that were coming in and out that I've never seen,
mm,
that came from all different walks of life, the things they would say, just the amount of respect that they showed at the time that they did not have to show it. I used to always say that's a life well lived, the way that people show up for you
mhm,
when they don't have to or when they're gone. But that means nothing to me, you know, with where I've gone to.
mhm,
So all I
mhm,
know is the here and now. I believe where I'm going to go once I pass, but I also want to enjoy where I am now. And if I can live my life in a way that I'm at peace with where I am, if it were to end today,
mhm.
I believe that's a personal indication of a life well lived.
When people leave your presence, what do you hope they will carry with them? Right? You leave people on the radio after being with them for hours. So when they leave your presence, what do you hope they carry with them?
Peace,
Mhm,
peace. I want to bring nothing but peace. And that doesn't mean that it has to be kumbaya,
mhm, mhm,
'cause I also want to teach. And there might be some things I want to teach that, might be some uncomfortable topics, what have you, but I want to leave you better than you came.
mhm,
And I want to leave you with peace, with this sense of resolve, whether it's the music that I play or the artistry that I share, the poetry piece, the conversation that I have.
mhm.
Shout out to my co-host Kevin White. We have amazing conversations regarding all the above and anything and everything. But when you turn that dial, or when you leave the car, or take out your headphones, I want you to feel at peace.
Yeah. So this is the section of the podcast where I give you statements and I just ask you to just fill in the blanks. And it's just rapid. Don't think too much about it.
Because you don't have to think too much about it.
No
No,
pressure, no
no, I'm a
pressure.
tangenteer. All right, go ahead. I'm ready.
Wellness feels like
Health,
community means.
everything.
I feel most rooted when
I'm outside. You got to the time.
I hope people remember me for.
The sense of peace that I gave or tried to give.
Mm. The story I most want to preserve is
My lineage,
legacy is.
the reason why I show up the way that I do.
Mm. If everyone felt they truly belonged.
The world will be a better place.
Mm. One thing I never want to lose is
My faith,
I am still learning.
every second of every day.
Today, wellness looks like
Appreciation.
appreciation. I like that. So tell the listeners how they can stay in contact with you. What's your socials, Mr. Julian?
So I think I'm most active on Instagram. That is my underscore bittersweet underscore philosophy. You can also find me on Facebook, which is Julian R as in Randall, Seward, Seward. And I have playlists. So all the shows that I do, there's a playlist corresponding with whatever the topic is or the pieces of that day. And I update those as capable as I'm available to. I'm getting better. I promise you, I'm getting better for promoting myself and uploading those. But you can find those on Apple Music and Spotify under My Bit Sweet P. That's MYBIT, the word sweet, the letter P, and listen into the radio show. You can listen live every Sunday from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. and it's called My Bittersweet Philosophy. If you're in the Philadelphia area, it is on 106.5 FM. That's WPPM. And if you're not in the listening area, you can go to phillycam.org/listen. And also have to give a quick shout out to the full Sunday block, if you don't mind. I am also a co-host on the crossover, which is Mr. Kevin White Show. That's from 5 to 6, and then all three of us are on the R&B Showcase with Mr. Tim Marshall as well, and that's from 6 to 8. So Sunday's my favorite day of the week. So that's where I get a chance to regroup and get a chance to not only receive creativity, but give it out to everyone. But there's a lot more coming from me for sure, promotion wise, and just filling that void that I have creatively and trying to create a space for you to see exactly the things that I have and want to give. And like I said, you can find that on Instagram for sure and Facebook after that.
So, throughout, very last question for you.
Absolutely.
Throughout our conversation, we've talked about home, identity, community, legacy, and voice. If someone is listening today is still trying to find their place in the world, what would you want them to know?
I want them to know that it takes time and that there's no way to get to the place where you figure it out if you don't start right now. You have to start right now. You have to start afraid. You have to start scared. You have to start confused. You have to start apprehensively. And that's why I'm so much of a proponent of journaling because writing it down, I think we had this conversation ourselves too. The act of writing as opposed to just speaking, there's that mind muscle connection where you can just get it out on paper, whatever your fears are, what the planning of what you would like to do. But most of all, you have to begin today in whatever capacity that you have. I am a procrastinator. I don't like to label myself as that, but I'm recovering procrastinator because I'm getting better with it.
That's right. The
But
power of the tongue.
there you
That's
go. Yeah,
right.
I felt it. You see what I said? You have to get me on point. I have a problem with procrastination. And a lot of that comes from doubt, the issue of perfection, and then having blinders. And I think that the best thing is to, again, going back to what I was saying before, you want to come up as your most authentic self. You are the one thing that the world does not have.
Ooh, say that again. Say that again. What?
You are the one thing the world does not have. And because it doesn't have you, that's what it needs.
Yes.
Find your authentic self. And that means trying right now. Go with the bumps, with the bruises, go with the embarrassment of it all. You're going to have 2 likes. You might have 50 likes. You might not have none at all. And then you're going to do it again. And you're going to learn from what you did last time. You're going to check the analytics. You're going to do the research. You're not just going to go into it haphazardly. You just have to start. You just have to start. That's it. And the more that you show up for yourself, that's how confidence builds. That's where the lessons come into play. So you'll get there for sure. I this is the 10th year of my radio show, and I've done more promotion for it in the past 6 months than I have in 10 years.
Mm.
Just because for a while I would come up with ideas throughout the week and I would be excited about the playlist and I'd sit there and I would DJ and I said that's an excellent transition. And I loved it. And people come in, they're like, that was a great show and that's cool. And I wouldn't post it.
Mm.
So it's just in the ether.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
even with how excited I was for my show, I still had doubts as to whether someone would like it enough or I still remember that mistake I made here. So you know what? I'm gonna hold it. I'm gonna post it later. I'm gonna get a mixed cloud account. I'm post on, down the line. You just don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So do it scared because the next time you'll be a little bit less scared and a little bit less scared, a little bit less scared. Because if this is what you want, if you feel as though you have something, it all starts with the idea that I have something that I want to give. I want to be of service. This is less about vanity. It's just I feel like I have something that I want to be of service to the community for. I have something that is education based, whatever my niche is. If that's what you really want to do, you really have to be about it. And that just comes with doing it now because everyone is figuring it out. All those cliches are correct. And again, like I said before, you are not better than anyone else and no one is better than you. But we need you. We need you for sure. There's space for you and you belong, but you got to start today.
I love that. Thank you so much for sitting with me, Julian. This has been so fruitful, and I know it won't be the first. Well, it's the first time, but it won't be the last time we will sit down because there's so much that you said that I wanted to pick apart even more. But I'm trying to be conscious to the listeners. But he'll be back. You hear me? He'll be back.
I'll be happy to. You create such a comfortable environment. I just have the insecurity to say, I'm sorry, I'm going to go off on tangents, but you really create an environment to
Oh, thank
just
you.
be open and honest. I really do appreciate that. This was so much fun.
Oh, thank you.
I'll be back if you have me.
Absolutely. The invitation is already extended. All
Hey,
right. So, as we close today's conversation, I hope it reminds you that our identity isn't shaped by just one moment, one title, or one accomplishment. It is often formed by the people who loved us, the communities that nurtured us, the stories we've inherited, and the choices we make each day. So before we part, here's a question I want you to carry with you. Who and what has shaped the person you're becoming? Who and what has shaped the person you're becoming? Carry that with you. And until we meet again, may your hope be full because being well isn't one thing, it's all the things. Take care. Thank you for spending this time with us on All Things Well. As you go about your day, I hope something from today's conversation stays with you, encourages you, or invites you to care for yourself in a new way. Remember, being well isn't one thing, it's all the things. Until next time, may your hope be full and may you be well.